So I have learned over the years that when you're having a bad day, own it. Kick
Yeah.
and scream or cry, figure out what your process is. I mean, mine is I will step back. I might get upset. I have to separate my emotions from myself, and then I cry, and then I get up and go, okay, what are we going to do next?
Yeah.
So figure out, how does Heidi process? What do you do when you have a bad day? Give yourself some pampering. Go. My grandma used to say, if you're having a bad day, go buy a hat. Go get your nails done or whatever it might be. Curl up in a hot bathtub with candles. Whatever is going to comfort you, and give yourself that.
Buckle up for a new episode of the Be S.H.E podcast, the show where we have real and raw conversations to inspire and empower you to be seen and heard so you can create balance and everything you want in your life and business. I'm your host, Heidi Schock, and I'm excited to walk alongside of you on this journey of being seen, heard, and empowered. Welcome to the Be S.H.E podcast. Be seen, be heard, be empowered. I'm your host, Heidi Schock, and I'm excited to be bringing you my special guest today. She's quite a journey, very inspiring, and her name is Vickie Aigner with Alive, Fit, and Free. So welcome, Vickie, to the podcast.
Hi, Heidi. Thanks so much for having me. Super excited to be here with you.
I am excited to have you here with us and talking with us and sharing your journey. Vickie, real quick before we dive in, and you can hear my dog bark in the background. He wants to be part of the podcast too, everybody. But I'm going to give a little intro about you, Vickie, and then I'll let you take the floor. So Vickie Aigner is a 72-year-old fitness and wellness professional who has spent more than 4 decades helping women over 50 live their healthiest, happiest, and longest lives. She is the founder of Alive, Fit, and Free and the creator of fun and effective brain-body fitness programs, including Energy Up for people living with dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and their caregivers. Through transformational wellness retreats and travel adventures, she guides women to build strength, protect their brains, and say yes to the next vibrant chapter of life. So Vickie, I know a little bit about your journey, but can you share with us how you even got started into this work that you do?
Yeah.
Incredible work. I know because
You.
you work with not only the people, but also the caregivers, because on both sides of
Exactly.
the coin, it can be a challenge.
Yeah, both sides are definitely a challenge. So you're out of the box kid my whole life. Never thought I fit because I just bounced around and flitted all the time. And after life-changing events, realized that it was really okay. But I always had a lot of energy. So I was a hippie that lived off the land in the 70s. Then I met my husband. We had 6 kids, all at home, and lived across the United States. He passed away in 2001. And I had been into fitness and wellness before that, back up there before I met him and had children. But when he passed away, we had 6 kids, ages 3 to 18, and I had to do something to raise my children at that point. So I went back to what I knew, fitness and wellness. And what I realized through his death and the whole grieving experience was that I didn't grieve for a lot of years because I was in the middle of building my own home and I had 6 kids to raise. So I just ran from those circumstances until about 5 years later I hit a wall. Knew I needed to get some help, so I went to an incredible self-development school. It was a live-learn situation. My younger 2 kids came with me. We were on site for 12 weeks, and then we went to a foreign country and lived in Fiji with the natives for 8 weeks, which is a super cool experience, obviously. But through that whole thing, for the first time in my life, I became okay with who I was. I realized that, oh, that's who I am. I can embrace that. And I realized that by working through all of the inner stuff, the emotional turmoil, the grief, all of the things that we stuff, I think especially as women, we don't know it's okay to be real about our emotions. We're kind of embarrassed or ashamed about them. But for the first time in my life, I realized that, our wellness has to come from the inside. It's unpacking all those old beliefs that don't fit us any longer. And when we do that, then finally getting down to who we really are, accepting and loving that person, the shadow side and the light side, all the same. And then letting that health grow from the inside out. Because I had for years been able to give you all the right foods to eat, all the right supplements to take, all the right moves for your body. But if we're not okay on the inside, then nothing's going to be effective. So I came away from that whole experience realizing his death actually taught me that there was more to healing and health and well-being than what we did on the outside. And it just made me so passionate to give my hand to other women and say, here, take my hand. You can do this. Let's walk through this together. Let me help you come up. I'll share with you what I know. We'll cry together. We'll laugh together. We'll kick and scream together, whatever it might be, whatever life circumstances you're going through. So I became super passionate about helping people get well, but not only get well, but it evolved into living better for longer as I started working with more of the senior crowd. But my heart so went out to women that in midlife, all of a sudden their lives fell apart. Maybe they had a death of a spouse like I did. Maybe there was a divorce. Maybe their kids just all left and they didn't know who they were or what they wanted to do with the rest of their life. And or maybe all of a sudden they're in financial ruin, and starting over can be a really scary thing. So if we can am a firm believer that our life experiences are not just for ourselves. They're for us to share. Yes, it becomes who we are, but we need to share that with other women and other people. That's what that's for. And how can we teach somebody about grief or about overcoming cancer without realistically going through those experiences? Sorry to say that, but I guess I'm a hard learner. I have to experience it first and then be able to share from how that becomes part of who you are, I guess is a good way to say that. So that's kind of how I got into the wellness field. It actually started years before that. At the age of 25, when I was a hippie living off the land, I got cervical cancer. And that was in the 70s, and I chose to heal that naturally. And back in those days, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have the whole food store. All of the alternative methods of healing were underground, and rightly so. People were being imprisoned and more for those teachings. But I, again, became very passionate about telling people, you don't have to die. This is what you can do. And so I started really studying and getting degrees and researching natural health and fitness. So that's how I got into the first part of that. But over the years, alive, fit, and free, after Ken had died and I came back, I knew that I was just supposed to help people feel alive, fit, and free. And that was kind of the name that came up, and didn't know what that looked like. So I went to work at a Starbucks. I could just talk to people, drink coffee all day, and it was lovely. And I started working as a business wellness consultant with a corporate company. And so while I worked with them, I just created my little business, and I would just research and write articles I could share with my clients, and I put them up on my website. I'm not sure anybody ever looked up the website. It was kind of obscure, but for me it was the start. And I was fortunate to work with the Wallapai Nation in northern Arizona for about 10 years as their wellness coach. So that was really, really fun and cool. And through that whole thing, I could start, again, researching more and more. And in 2017, I started working with senior living communities. They needed a line dance teacher at one community. So I went in and started teaching line dance. And pretty soon, one class turned into 5 classes. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. So I just made flyers. And every time I would see a senior living community, I'd stop and run in and hand flyers out. And pretty soon I had like 20 classes a week, and I needed to hire a team to work with me. So I started training that team. And my daughter came on as my business partner in 2019, and we wanted to go virtual because she lived internationally. So we started building a platform to launch virtually, and lo and behold, COVID hit about 2 months later. So we literally flipped all of our senior living facilities to Zoom and waded our way through what that looked like, and ran grassroots out of my dining room. My daughter did the back end stuff. I did the classes. My son filmed classes every day and did the video editing and all the marketing. And we slowly started adding more and more classes on. So during COVID, I think we ran about 60 classes a month. We had all kinds of classes to keep my community engaged. We contacted international tour guides that would lead us around their countries on little Zoom trips. It was super cool. So, yeah. Really,
That
really
sounds
fun.
really, really cool.
It was cool. I
Yeah.
mean, we went to Mongolia, we went to Tokyo, we went to Peru, we went to Budapest. I mean, we had such a ball meeting these people and having them take us around live, walking through their streets. But then when COVID ended, everybody wanted on-site classes again. So we flipped the switch again and started going back on site. And that was 2021, I guess. We really picked up the on site portion of the business again. My daughter stepped back and is just now on as an advisor. But what happened was we went from about 6 instructors from 22 to we have about 50 part-time instructors that work for us now. So we picked up a lot of classes. Just word of mouth. We work with some great organizations. Community centers, senior community centers, again, independent and assisted and memory care facilities for seniors, and 55 plus HOAs. And we have a good reputation. Our classes are unique and interesting. We work on what I call the 4 pillars of health: mental, emotional, physical, and energetic. So we work to, at the beginning of class, do some simple things that fire up all of those pillars of health so we're all functioning at our highest. So yeah, we built it up. We run probably 30 to 40 classes a week now across Arizona, New Mexico, virtually. We have a large pre-recorded library. And then last year, around this time, we launched our new programs. It's called Energy Up for Dementia and Alzheimer's and caregivers, and also Energy Up for Parkinson's people. So those were in the beta stages last year. We built some really cool communities with those programs and just getting ready to launch those open wide so that we can reach more people that way. And then we also do fitness travel, I should say, fitness and wellness travel, adventures, cruises, land trips, retreats, just to keep people that are able to healthy engaged, because traveling is so transformational. I mean, we always learn something not only about ourselves, but about the culture that we're in, and it just expands our brains and our ability to relate to other people. So that's kind of what we do in a nutshell.
I love it. There's so much there. And one, it's a family affair, right? Your son was
Yeah,
involved, one of your
exactly.
daughters was involved. So, and you have a lot of children. And I love that you shared that, your entire journey. I'm sure there's a lot more weaved in, but I love that you shared your journey, because many people out there will have started a business, or they're doing what they're doing because they've moved through a transformation or a pain or something themselves. And now they want to help others. They've learned from that. Like you said, you love learning and you believe in learning from experience. And yes, there is book learning, but nothing beats the learning, the experience of life classroom, right?
Absolutely,
Nothing beats
absolutely.
that.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Because it
Nothing.
does, transforms us. It changes.
Right.
Everything that we go through, everything that we walk through in life, it makes us who we are. And if we take one of those pieces away, we wouldn't be the same person.
Right.
And that's why I look back. Ken passed away in 2001, and it's been 24 years ago. And it's like, wow. And we were married for 19, but we've been apart for 24 years. And as I look back, would I have ever wanted that for my life? No. But would I give up the person that I am now? No, I would not. And if that's what had to happen for me to transform to where I am and who I am now, I would not change that for the world. I had another instance. So the Energy Up program is based off of some specific moves that like I said, work on the 4 pillars of health. And I first got introduced to some of these moves back in 2017, and then really started researching them. And I would learn these moves in a particular class, and I would take them back to my people, and I could see the power of what was happening. But in 2022, I was diagnosed with stage 2 rectal cancer. And that was a
So
whole
this is
other,
twice now you've had cancer in your life.
right?
Yeah.
And there was a whole another experience. But what happened was I had opted this time to go through 31 days of targeted chemo, radiation and oral chemo, 5 days a week on, 2 days a week off. And I thought, okay, because it was rather fast growing, I'm going to hit this thing hard and heavy, and then I'll just continue with my natural stuff after that. And I don't take any medications. I do everything as naturally as possible. I don't go to the doctor unless I'm literally dying or broke a limb. And so for me to make that choice was a real stretch and very humbling. But what happened was the day after the radiation stopped, and I'm sure everybody can relate to this, the radiation was probably the most brutal thing I've ever done. But I couldn't get out of bed, and it had perforated my colon, and I had gone septic. So the doctor said, no, just give her pain meds, she'll be fine. And when my girls realized that it was getting worse, they rushed me to the emergency room, and the doctor said, you have about 2 hours to live. We think we can bring you out of this. Well, they did. But I woke up, I had tubes hanging out of one side. I was cut from sternum to a pubic bone, and I had an ostomy, which I still have. And I weighed 89 pounds. And I was so traumatized. It was like, what just happened to my life? My totally hands off everything. It's like if you watch Chopped, they say, okay, step back, hands off. And it was like, I just felt like I had to step back and go hands off. I had to let go of everything in my life and go, what is this about? What happened? How did this happen? And what do I need to do with myself now? So that's when we started. I stepped back, but I knew about 3 weeks out, I was a mess, emotionally, mentally, physically. I weighed 89 pounds. I looked like I just got out of a concentration camp. I had no muscles on my body. I remember my arms, they were horrible. I was embarrassed to go out of the house. Put a pair of shorts on, they fell right off. I had no butt. I told my daughter, I'm going to get some of those panties that have the butt.
Yes.
But anyhow, I knew that if I could do the energy up, I would be okay. So I started with 2 moves in the chair. I could do each one of the moves for a minute, and then I'd go back to bed. Next week, I could do 5 moves in the chair and go back to bed. And at 6 weeks, I was standing doing all moves full on because they can be adjusted to any level. And at 8 weeks, I started lifting weights again. And I'm telling you what, I know the power of what those moves, I know the science behind them as well, but I felt firsthand what that could do for me. So again, I became super passionate about, man, you guys, this works. If we're just working out to just work out our physical body, we are missing the mark.
Yeah.
And so that kind of became the basis of all of the Energy Up programs for athletes, for women 55 plus, for dementia, Alzheimer's, for our Parkinson's people. Anybody can use it, and it's just so empowering, and it's so powerful when you can look back at where you came from and go, I know this works. So that's kind of that whole story in a nutshell. Yeah, it's fun. It's super fun to get people excited about life and to help them realize they can live their best life at any age. Age is not a definer. I mean, I started really blasting this business at the age of 69 when I was working with seniors, and I didn't even realize I was one. It's like, oh my God.
I work with seniors. There's so much, they need care, and they're so much older than me. Yeah, I get it.
And it was like, oh my gosh,
I'll say that. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're that age, Heidi. You're that age.
You know, right? And it's like, and I was so, one thing that really got us was the way that seniors were being marketed to. And it's like, let's just put them in the rocking chair on the front porch, baby blue and beige. And it's like, I don't think so. So we came in with the motto, we are redefining what it means to be a senior, because we are different than our grandparents were.
Right.
We're living way longer lives, but you have a lifespan and you have a health span, and there's a 13-year gap between health span and lifespan, because people are living longer, but they don't know how to live better, so that health span catches up with the lifespan. So it's been fun. It's, like I said, I love to learn. I love to figure out new ways to move the body and get people excited about life. And yeah, it's just...
Yeah, and there's so many pieces of your story and your journey that just really intrigue me and inspire me. And I'm in awe of when I listen to you, because we all have a story, and I'm not here to take away from anybody's story, including my own. However, that being said, when I think about me, I'm a single mom and I had 2 toddlers. You had 6 children between the ages of 3 and 18. Yeah. You lost a spouse. My children still have their father, and he's a fantastic father. So we're not, even though I feel like I've got to do I've been working so hard to try and hold it all together at times.
Yeah.
It's nothing compared to what you went through, right? And not to diminish and not to take away from anybody's story. And the reason I say that is because when I'm feeling like I'm having an off day, I can just now think of you and go, oh my gosh, but what did Vickie move through? If she can do it, I can do it. And that's where I want people to take away is like, if somebody that you look like you learn their journey and you think, oh my gosh, if they can do it, you can do it. There's always your story is going to, your journey, your toughness, the hard parts of life for us, sometimes they're going to be harder than others. Right. And there's also other people's journey that are going to be harder than yours. Right. So if we can kind of put that into perspective and go, we're all on our own journey.
Absolutely.
Yes, there's ups and downs in life and it's hard. And who can we look to? Because success leaves clues, and success means different areas of life, whether it's relationships and love, whether it's parents and children, whether it's financial success or health success. Success leaves clue in all of those areas. So who can you look to and say, oh my gosh, like if they can do it, I can do it.
Right. And you said one thing, you said if you're having a bad day, and it's like, as I look back on all that, my way of doing things is I just put my head down and I just blast through it. And that's just the personality that I am. I'm an Aries with a Capricorn moon, and those are two like just power up and do it. When Aries doesn't stop for anything, we just keep going until we drop. And so when I look at that, I go, that makes perfect sense that I have to experience everything I get into before I can go, yes, no, maybe. But that's the way I learned. So again, it makes perfect sense that I learned through hard experiences. But back to I'm having a bad day. If I could say to myself now, or I do say to myself now, if I'm having a bad day or a bad time, I'm going to own that, and I'm going to step back and give myself a timeout and accept that it's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to kick and scream. I don't have to prove to anybody else that I can do this. And back at that point in time, it was a whole nother part of the story. I don't know if I'll get into that, but we belonged to this group and we came from the outside, and they watched like a hawk. And I felt like I had no privacy. But again, my way of dealing with Ken's death was to put my head down. We had a house we had to finish. And so my oldest son, who was 16, and I would go work on the house for 14, 16 hours a day. And that was our way of grieving until we hit that wall. And when you hit that wall, it's like, you better pay attention to what's going on here and deal with this. So I have learned over the years that when you're having a bad day, own it. Kick and scream or cry, figure out what your process is. I mean, mine is, I will step back. I might get upset. I have to separate my emotions from myself, and then I cry, and then I get up and go, okay, what are we going to do next?
Let it go, and then get it out. Get it out.
You gotta get it out. So figure out, how does Heidi process? What do you do when you have a bad day? Give yourself some pampering. My grandma used to say, if you're having a bad day, go buy a hat. Go get your nails done, or whatever it might be. Curl up in a hot bathtub with candles. I don't know. Whatever is going to comfort you, and give yourself that.
Yeah. So, self-care and self-love are so important. And in the entrepreneurial space of journey, it can be, especially since COVID and everybody's really gone virtual. There's not everybody, but so many, depending on what you're doing, whether you're working in a company or you're building your own or whatever that may be. It can be lonely, right? Yeah. Especially if you have these big goals and people don't understand why. You might feel like you're a lone wolf on an island fighting for something that people think you're crazy or don't understand. Right. And that can be, one, exhausting. And two, I hit burnout a few times, and I almost did again last year. And I've learned how to recognize it more, but it doesn't mean it still stops it from happening or coming up, because we can forget, what got us here last time, kind of forget, because we're putting our head down and we're going. Right. And all of a sudden, if you're not, like you said, paying attention, that wall will hit you to make you pay attention.
Exactly.
So you hit burnout. So my question is, what did you do? You lost your husband. You put your head down. You're like, I've got this house to finish. I've got 6 kids, right? Yes, some of them were older, and sometimes the teens will help them all. But still, it's still you.
Exactly.
The glue. You're the glue that's holding everybody together. And you have to have this house to finish. when you hit that, so you just you didn't grieve, you didn't move through your process, and you hit that wall 5 years later. What did you do? Were there signs coming up along the way? And also, what did you do to get yourself through it?
Yeah, there were some signs. I worked with a naturopath really closely, and he helped along the way with some different herbal supplements. And boy, I wish I knew then the techniques that I know now for releasing stress and anxiety. But what I did was, again, I had to go so deep into I need help before I would surrender. And my mom had gone to this incredible school. It was faith-based school, and they had live, learn locations around the world. So that's where and if somehow or another, I knew if I could go there that I would be okay. And so I ended up on their doorstep a week before the school started, and I said, I'm a mess, I need help. And I just went, bleh, and just burst out in tears. I said, this is what happened, and I need somebody to help me through this. And they said, okay. So that was our live, learn experience. So you lived in community. We were in Northern California, and every week we had a different speaker, absolutely most incredible speakers in the world. But they all got deep into the heart of who you are, who your creator, whatever you want to call that, the universe, God, whatever, who that entity is, how y'all are connected. Get rid of the crap that's clouding your life. Now, who are you? What fires you up? And what are you going to do with it? In a nutshell, that's kind of what it was. It was like, oh, this is super exciting. And then after we were there, I mean, like I said, the first time in my life, I really could embrace who I was. And I knew that I was okay. And it was okay to be me. And then we went for 2 months into a foreign country to, quote, serve people. Well, we didn't really serve them. We learned from them on top of it. So we lived with beautiful islanders in Fiji. They just accepted us. We actually worked in a center called the Personal Transformation Center, and they worked with women. And so it was perfect for me. So like I said, then I came home, and it gave me tools to use to walk forward, so that when I get triggered by something, I now have those tools. So what I learned was I'm really a redhead, and I can get fired up, so I have to put my hand over my mouth, step back, because if I let that come out, then I'll have to go back and apologize. So it's best for me to say, I'm going in timeout right now, and I'll go step back, and then I'll get all those emotions out, I'll do whatever I have to do, and then I can come back because I've separated facts from emotions. And then I use those tools that I've gained, and I've gained a lot more tools along the way too, but again, just learning how we process and knowing what that is. Like, I can see myself, I'll pull back, and then once I cry, I'm okay. And everybody processes, everybody learns differently. So, and it's a continual renewal and a regrowth. And like I said, I love to learn, I love to study, I love to do transformational things. I found a couple of really cool programs that have helped me grow the business and to change my mindset, because mindset that's our tripping point. Those old beliefs,
they keep coming. They keep
coming, right? Layers. And it's not like, oh, I just worked through that. Yay, all good. Yeah, honey, that was the first layer. Another one's going to come when you're ready. So.
Right. Yeah, it's just waiting for the right time to show up again. And you're like, wait a minute, I've done the mind sort work. I worked really hard. Yeah. I worked really hard on that. And I worked on my mind. I worked on my mindset. And it's just all of a sudden you realize, this happened to me recently. I'm like, I've done this. I've done it so much and so many times, and I'm tired of doing it. And it's like, oh no, you got to go back and do it again. And it never ends. I think that's part of the big learning experience of our life, is that mindset work is just
and it's okay. It's okay because it takes us a little bit deeper each time, because it's a beautiful unfolding, blossoming, so to speak.
It's right. Really realizing that we're multidimensional. It's not just like, okay, you solve one problem and we're good. No, you're here because you get to go deeper and deeper and deeper every time something shows up for you. Yeah, this is like so good. So you mentioned you built your business, and you started like little later in life compared to some other people, which I love, because you brought your life experiences into it and your learnings. And one thing that is huge takeaway. And one of my clients, we just did content for her today. We literally shared it around. It's never too late. No. It's never too late to go after your dream and live your dreams. And I want people to, even me, it's like a huge takeaway. I'm like, okay, I'm in my 50s. If I decide that I want to go a different direction, is it okay? Or are people going to think I'm crazy? Or even should I even be doing that? Because we need financial stability. We need to do this. We should be doing this. The world teaches us this is the path that you should be on, right? The shoulds. And it's like sometimes we're like, but I don't want to do that. Like it doesn't make me happy. So when you were building your business, what are some of the challenges that you faced in your growth?
The biggest challenge was working with other people. And I say that I love my children, but my daughter that became my business partner. So again, I told you I kind of just get an idea and I run with it. It's and like that's how I get inspired, and it's like gotta do it now. I don't stand and go, well, do I have all of my supplies? Let me map together a strategy. No, it's like, no, I'm out the door when you say let's, I'm gone and I'm already working on whatever it is because that's kind of how I work. And that's how I had done this. And then my daughter came on and she's very smart, brilliant girl. And I've just been so appreciative to have her on my team, but she likes to plan everything out. She gets that strategy. She has it all lined out. And it's like, you lost me at point number one because I'm already on to the next thing. So for me,
Yeah.
that was the hardest thing to adjust to. But I learned there's so much wisdom in that. But there's also wisdom in marrying the two things together. It's like,
Yeah.
and I still know for myself, when I get inspired, I better pay attention to that, sit down and do what I need to do so that I have that, so that I can use that piece of social media content, or I can use that idea for my videos, or whatever it might be when that impulse hits. But I've also learned that I need to map out those strategies for my long-term success. Because when I went into this, it was just like, oh, teaching line dance at a senior living facility, that sounds like fun. Okay, we'll go do that. And then pretty soon it starts evolving and it turns into a business. And now it's like really a business. And of course, over the last few years, I have a manager that works with my instructors in classes. I mean, we've had to put together policies and procedures so that everything was uniform, and so that and learning, because I never thought I was a business person. Now I'm a business owner. I'm a CEO. I'm an entrepreneur, and it's like, and then celebrating that and going, wow, look at what you did. You started this at 69. Giving yourself credit instead of always looking at, no, I've got to do more, have to do more. Celebrating maybe where we're at now. So those are some of the things that I bump up against. And then I've always been, probably shouldn't say this because I'll probably get another experience that will help me understand this a little bit more, but I've always been fairly good with change. I like to move a lot. I like to do different things. I get bored real easy. So for me to be able to flow with the different directions of the business, it was okay. It was like we just flow where the energy goes, and we'll knock on doors. And if we knock on doors 2, 3, 4 times and get nothing, we'll go to another door, or somebody will call and say, "Hey, we heard you're doing this, this, and this." Yeah, okay. And so being willing to understand that it's not how we think it's going to look, but it's the energy behind it that takes it kind of where it needs to go.
Yeah.
And then when I had the surgery for the rectal cancer, I ended up with an ostomy that I have full time. And that was a real challenge for me to be able to talk about that on social media. I knew I needed to, because there are, I can't remember, is it 13 billion people that live worldwide with ostomies. That's a bag in some area or not. Some of them it's life-saving, like mine. Some they had serious illnesses like colitis or IBS or Crohn's disease and really had no quality of life. And then for me to go, okay, what am I going to do with this? Right? And so I could still work out, and then I travel a lot. I have kids that lived internationally, and I love to travel. And so those first few trips, it was like, how is this going to work? What's going to happen? And now I just go all over the world. I lead groups, cruises around the world, international trips. I parasail. I haven't skydived yet, but I would really like to do that. I zip line. I do pretty much anything that I ever did before. So again, it's like, are we going to let our life circumstances paralyze us? Or are we going to say, no, just happen. How are we going to adjust? So when I travel, I just make sure I have enough ostomy supplies so that I'm not stuck someplace with a problem. And so whatever that might be, or if our knees hurt, we just make sure we take good shoes to walk on those cobblestones, or we plan tours that you don't have to walk so much. I mean, if you have a hip problem or whatever it might be in life, it's like we can all use those to hinder us from really reaching our dreams, or we can say, what am I going to do now? How am I going to get around this one?
Right.
You know? So, yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing your story and everything. How can people connect with you, Vickie?
Well, we have a website, alivefitandfree.com, and our classes are offered there. Our travel adventures are offered there. We also have a Facebook group, and you can access that through our Alive Fit and Free Facebook page. It's a community group for people just to connect. We do all kinds of fun things, challenges there, and just use it as a place to bounce ideas and information off of each other. We also have a channel on YouTube, again, Alive Fit and Free, with some pre-recorded videos that people can access, as well as the dementia and Parkinson's programs. So yeah, that's probably the best way.
Amazing. We're going to have all of Vickie's contact information in the show notes. They're there. You can go check it out there. If you missed anything, don't worry, we've got you. Her company is called Alive Fit and Free, and you can go to alivefitandfree.com to learn more about her services and more about Vickie. Vickie, real quick, I have two questions for you. I was going to ask you about juggling hats, but I want to be respectful of your time. But real briefly, can you share, just because we're all, this podcast is for women. We have men that listen as well. And men juggle a lot of hats, but you having 6 children, losing your husband, and needing to really just figure things out. How were you able to manage juggling all the hats? Like, what was one thing that supported you to make sure that you could keep all those hats in the air, which we normally know we can't. Something's going to drop. But how did you manage all of those hats that you were?
My kids were great. And back at that time when Kim passed away, my oldest was 18, my youngest was 3. So the oldest kids really helped to take care of the younger ones. I think that was super helpful. And the fact that I did have children and I couldn't wallow in grief, I had to get up every day and take care of those kids. That was my main motivation. It was like I didn't have a choice. And again, I had this house that I had to finish. But that's kind of how I did that. And I never went for counseling until I went away to that self-development school. But I would say, man, find a therapist. Work through that. After I had the cancer in 2022, I started working with a somatic therapist who really helped me get in touch with where do you feel that emotion in your body? Where do you feel that trauma in your body? And now let's breathe through that and try and get rid of it. So just gathering those tools that will work for you. And what works for me might not work for you because we're not cookie cutter, but again, being gentle with yourself and having compassion on yourself, which I didn't have a whole lot of that. And as I look back, I'm learning to be more compassionate and gentle with myself.
Amazing. Well, two final questions for you, Vickie. Is there something behind the scenes of Vickie that we wouldn't know by what you showed today or seeing you on social media or your website that would be kind of like would be really surprised? Oh, wow.
Oh, boy. Well, I had all 6 kids at home. I have an ostomy. You wouldn't know. Like, you can't see it. And I live in leggings most of the time. I mean, sometimes I'll show it and stuff. But, I traveled with a lady for 5 years. And she had no idea and so it's like, yeah. And that I am pretty competitive. So if somebody dares me to do something, I could get myself in trouble because I will. It's like, okay, for instance, so TikTok, years ago, we started doing TikTok videos, and we would find TikTok dances, but also fitness. These kids would be on there, and they might have been in their 30s or 40s. And then my daughter was running my TikTok channel, and she'd do all the filming, and so she would pick these challenges for me to out-fitness these youngsters, and I could. I still could, but I choose not to because I've kind of grown up a little bit. But I have a lot of energy. I don't really stop. When I stop, I fall asleep.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess those are a couple of things. And one thing my mother taught me was no matter how hard the situation is, we can always find something to laugh about. Even if you're hysterically crying, you can find something to laugh about. Maybe your nose is running, so you're laughing because your nose is running while you're crying hysterically. I don't know. But to have that sense of humor and to always find something that can make you smile in the midst of that heartache, it's a lifesaver.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. My last question for you, Vickie, is if you could have lunch with anyone, alive or deceased, who would it be and why?
My mother.
Oh,
Yeah, I've thought about her a lot in the past few days. Yeah. In
oh, that's
fact, I was out walking my dog this morning, and there's this beautiful golden retriever. He's probably 6, 9 months, and the man walks with him and carries the dog's baby with him. And my mother always had retrievers. And we passed today, and I always say to the man, "Oh, looks like you've got your baby again, right?" And he's got this little stuffed animal. And I thought, "Oh, I wish I could tell Mom." Or I said, "Mom, look, he's carrying his baby. He's out for a walk." So yeah, it would be fun to talk to her.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, thank you, Vickie, so much for being here. We appreciate you and thank you for sharing your journey. So
Yeah.
inspiring. Like I said, I'm in awe. Very inspiring,
Aw.
very transformative, and
Thank
definitely
you.
motivating for sure. So thank
Well, so
you.
are you, Miss Heidi. Keep going. Thank you for the beautiful work you do to elevate women. Seriously, it's just so inspiring.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're
Thank
welcome.
you all for listening to Vickie and I today. Make sure you go follow her, Vickie Aigner. We'll have all of, and it's Aigner. We'll have all of her information on in the show notes, and go check out her website, alivefitandfree.com. Thank you, Vickie. Thank you all for
Thank
listening.
you. Thanks,
And
Heidi. Thank
thank
you.
you. And we will see you on the next episode of the Be S.H.E podcast. In the meantime, be seen, be heard, and empowered.
Nice.